Hello everyone, welcome to Live Deku, who was the screaming death from How to Train Your Dragons. I thought of this while watching the video and I thought it would be pretty cool, so yes. Just for a short explanation, Dragon, as I believe, what class was it? It was Bulker class, I believe. Or something similar to another dragon class. It's the most basic type of dragon class, but it's pretty flippin' powerful though. In fact, it's one of the strongest dragons on How to Train Your Dragon. Able to take hits from a Night Fury and still keep on going. Well, the wind flipping what was it called? Well, the giant other dragon, what was it called? The wildebeest wasn't able to. Meaning that this is either stronger than the wildebeest, not as big, stronger than it, or on par with it. Even with its small size. It's about 50 feet in length. Very destructive. Territorial mention. Yeah. Whole lot of other stuff. It has a range of attacks. It's practically pretty overpowered. No, I think it's like what, like the strong. It's either the strongest or one of the strongest. So yeah. And it's pretty flippin' powerful. Able to take hits from the Night Fury, from Hiccup, so yeah, and Toothless. And what I've seen from the movies, no one can really take a hit without taking at least a certain amount of damage from a Night Fury's attack. This man shifted, he just just dusted off his scales what was that? Practically. So he's gonna be pretty hard to take down. So yeah. Anyways, what I'm gonna do is that he's gonna be pretty overpowered. So yeah, decently overpowered. This, depending on the way I write the story, may take back in the past or may go to present time. But it is also going to be a dark what if, similar to the Joker's, but not as brutal. You would say, not as brutal. So, as a young lad, Deku was off the bat very different from his classmates, you would say. He was born a screaming death, you would say, unlike a human form, which maybe, may not, depending on if I want to make a part 2. Comment down below if you want me to make him human or have so he can transform, like some type of transformation quirk or something. But yeah. Anyways, what would happen is that he would be born a screaming death, as his yells were, it's a screaming death. So yeah, everyone in 10-meter radius is just. They had to put moves on, and then, kind of not tranquilize Deku as a child, newborn, but more of the lines as kind of cover his mouth with a type of soft, cotton-like substance. Kind of put it over his mouth. So, people won't die, because, they're nearly deaf by that time they put it on them. Any longer, they would have probably died. So yeah. So off the bat. Actually, not. I'll have this not be a quirk, but I'll say it can either be a transformation of some kind. So before this, Deku's already. I'll say he begins as a human, and then as the story progresses, we'll think of some type of plot. See. So Deku's born quirkless. as Hisashi Midori would leave, but he would still, how would you say, he would still be around. Yes, abusive, but only towards Deku. As for the personality of the White Death, or, the Screaming Death, it's very aggressive, so yeah. I'm gonna have to make Deku a bit aggressive in this what if. So, born from, childhood to the age of 5, Deku wouldn't really, his dad would neglect him, as Deku would gain kind of a cold sense towards his dad. So he wouldn't really, he would only care for his mother, so yeah. But I mean, it's natural, so yeah. His mother, it's the same thing. I'm not gonna change any personalities besides Deku's, so yeah. So Deku, out of all, would be normally, he will have, white hair, green eyes, pale skin normally. But Deku would be very fast, in a sense that, because it is a very fast dragon. It's faster than Toothless, tell you that for sure. But anyways, it's a very fast, he is very fast, you would say. Humanly, he's at least 2 times or 3 times faster than average human. So yeah. And usually is either on par or a little bit ahead of, speed quirks. Or enhancement quirks when it comes to speed. So yeah, he's pretty fast. And every time he does, every time he gets angry, his eyes will turn red. So yes. As the story continues on, and yeah, Deku, he's not gonna have a bad childhood, but this kind of be like a 50-50 thing, if you know what I mean. He's gonna have a decent childhood. Not good nor bad. So yeah. Anyways, Deku wouldn't be able to talk at all. If he talked, it will sound like a screech. So he's not able to talk. So people will kind of mess with him with that. As as usual, Bakugo gotta be coming in with that bullshit. So yeah. And practically what happens is that Deku doesn't like the light. Let's just say that he don't like light. He always has some type of glasses. Cause let's say, for his beginning he doesn't like a light. So he always has to wear some type of glasses for now. So he wears glasses. He also wears how Shinzo has his support gear. That will practically be Deku. So yeah. Deku will practically have the same thing as Shinzo, but a little bit less, kind of like how Jonathan, I think it was Jonathan or Joseph, who had that mouth breathing thing to kind of prevent him from, either breathing using hormone or something. That's practically what he has. That's practically what Deku has on him. So he's unable to talk, because, yeah. The only thing that kind of escaped, the mouth thing is just, slithers of, reeds, practically. He's unable to, say words. He's only able to, scream. So, yeah. His talking is like, kind of like a parrot almost, but a lot more, screechy. So, yeah. So, Deku, he would be bullied, yes, but people would find out that he's very durable. Deku's very durable as a child. And they found out that Deku would also, grow a lot. He'd grow like an inch every month. He would grow like a foot or an inch every month. So he's a pretty tall kid. So yeah. And so what would happen is that Bakugo would try to bully him, but realistically he wouldn't be able to do much to Deku. Realistically. Unless, it's actually, like either something very hard, or, something just overwhelmingly strong, which Bakugo does not have, nor his explosions, because, if you've seen, this man got shot with purple plasma from Toothless, and dusted it off, like this man was cleaning his armor. Like, if you think a small explosion like Bakugo's, or even adult Bakugo's will do anything, you are sorely mistaken. This dude is explosion proof. Not that, but he's pretty durable. This is the most, from what I know, this is the most durablest dragon in the entire franchise, from what I know of. The most durable. So, yeah, he can't do anything to him. So, Bakugo does try to do the things. So, Deku would just be reading a book now and there, because he wouldn't really be talk to people. So he's very isolated. So he kind of sit by himself during lunchtime and whatnot. So he kind of reads. So, Bakugo would try to, kind of attack him. But at the same time, it wouldn't really do much. It would cause very much damage to the things around Deku, but not Deku himself. Deku will probably be immune to it. He does feel like the shockwave, but it's not really much to move him. It does, move his chair and kind of, scorch his chair a bit, but, besides that, it doesn't really do much. It does also mess up Deku's clothing, which Deku does get mad at him because his mother bought him it. Because he loves his mother. He's a baby. He's mama's boy practically. He's a mama's boy. So yeah, he gets a little he getting a little irritated. And, Deku he getting like he puts his hand up in a stopping motion like, hey yo, can you stop? Like, yo, like, in, sign language almost. Yeah, practically. He uses sign language to talk. Hey, yo, can you, stop? So, Bakugo's like, huh, what's that? As the Bakugo, still a dick. So, yeah. Kind of still bullies Deku. And it's at that point where, let's say, one of the days, Inko got him, Inko made him his own sweater, you would say. It's one of those, homemade sweaters. So, yeah, you know what I'm going. It's Christmas time. I'll say Deku's now 7. You know what's gonna happen. If you don't know, even though they're very ugly, we still have cherished them like our own things. So, yes, they are very warm. So, yes. Pretty itchy, but, we all still love the sweaters. We love the sweaters. I love them. But anyways, yes, Deku, this will be, technically Inko's first thing handmade to Deku. And it would be either in winter time, it'd be in winter time, 7. So I believe he's like 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Somewhere near that. 4th grade-ish. 7th, 3rd, 1st. Decent amount. So yeah, he's in around that. So, he's just reading, just relaxing. He is, he does study himself, by the way. Like in the Dragon book from, How to Train Your Dragons, he does, have that. But, instead of studying dragons, he kind of studies himself. So, yeah. So, he does study quirks, by the way. He still does study quirks. But people wouldn't understand how durable Deku is. They wouldn't understand how and why he's so durable. So yeah, they kind of question that, but besides that, they think it's, he doesn't feel pain. Like some markings will show on Deku, but he wouldn't really feel it. I mean, he would somewhat feel it, kind of. He wouldn't be able to feel pain until, Bakugo, he got that howitzer impact. Or somewhere near that level of control with his quirk. So, yeah. Deku, he would feel pain, but it'd be more of a scratch than anything else. So, yeah. Or just like a bug bite, which kind of annoys him. So he'll be, writing down things, writing down about everyone's quirk and whatnot. It's not going to change his personality that dramatic. I mean, it's still going to change dramatically, but not that big. So he's still, himself, with, still quirks and whatnot. He writes down quirks, how to improve, how to fix, how to find their weaknesses and whatnot. Their weaknesses. How they adapt and whatnot, how to make it useless in a battle. So yeah, he has all that still. And practically, what would happen is that Deku would, how would you say, he would be very, very, how would I say it? It's kind of complicated. But I guess you can say that Deku's very calm somehow. Like, he does, feel emotions. It's just he doesn't show them that often. He always, has his face. He never really frowns. So I mean, yeah, he frowns, but he's kind of more of like a medium face. Like, okay, so yeah, he got like that face, resting bitch face practically. So yeah. Anyways, Deku would. We'll be not in lunch, but we'll be in the playground. Let's say he'll be in the playground, and what would happen is that he'll be on the swings, swinging, reading books, and writing stuff down. I'll say it wouldn't be snowing, but it'd have like little snow particles and whatnot. Why not? Deku got his sweater and whatnot. Bakugo, shooting off explosions, being his arrogant self. So yeah. Don't know how he didn't become a villain by me. Yeah. Anyways, corrupted tier society. Anyways, let's continue. What would happen is that there would be a very strong discussion going around school. They wanted to see who would win in a fight, Bakugo or Deku. Bakugo saying, haha, of course I would win compared to that loser. That loser's nothing. That loser's a Deku. He's useless, haha. He's a quirkless, useless person, practically. Deku, practically. So, Izuka Midoriya would practically, how would you say... He would be he kind of zone out, because he kind of think, the snow kind of makes him feel good, I guess. Kind of, makes him remember, the times he had, like, memories, he remembers memories, so, when he was smaller, and, getting chocolate near, he was cold. The coldness reminded him of, being next to, right now, coming into the house, getting hot cocoa. And, sitting next to the fireplace next to his mother. Kind of reminds him of that. As, out of nowhere, he'll get, a snowball will hit his face. Or more of, like, his eye. And, he wouldn't feel it, but that kind of, dish him out of, his, vibe. He was kind of vibing in his memory. So, that kind of dished him out of his vibe. So, he's no longer in that memory. So, he was like... He's kind of irritated. He tries to look at the snow, remembering that it has some resemblances to his hair. The snow looks like his hair. So, he's just playing around, being a child and whatnot, having imaginations. And so, Bakugo rolls up. Hey, Deku, fight me! Practically. Bakugo being him, I guess, being himself, trying to fight Deku. As no, Deku refuses. No. I said no. Why not? Do you think you're scared? I'm not scared. There's a pointless battle. And plus, we're not allowed to use our quirks out of class. As now he'll say in sign language, practically annoying the crap out of Bakugo. Bakugo kind of explodes Deku. His explosions are decently bigger, I guess. So Bakugo will kind of tear off parts of Deku's clothing as Deku sees this, and he don't know what happened next, but all he remembers is that Bakugo was on the floor with his ears bleeding, and everyone around the entire facility everyone's ears are just bleeding and on the ground fainted. Deku don't know what the flip happened, but all he sees is there's a rip in his sweater. He goes to like an hour or two passes. Deku's calm. I guess I guess everyone will be fainted due to the lack of flipping hearing. So yeah, a decent amount of time. So it's time to go home. The principal wouldn't say anything because, he saw what the man did to Bakugo, so, yeah. And practically everyone in the entire facility, so, yeah. What would happen is that Deku would be, he'd be at home as, Inko suddenly gets a call from the school. As, Inko kind of asks Deku, what happened to school today in sign language? What happened to school? Because I guess he wouldn't be deaf, but he'd be somewhat deaf, but not really. He kind of only be able to hear whispers. So yeah, kind of only hear whispers. So anything louder than a whisper, I guess. I guess the loudest he can hear is whispers. That's like the loudest he can hear. So yeah. So it would be at the point where, his mother, Inko would have to learn sign language as well, teaching Deku and whatnot. And, he's like, hey, what happened to school, honey? And, Deku would be like, what happened, what? What do you mean, what happened? And, Inko would say, did your quirk activate? It's like, what? And, Deku explains what happens, and, Inko was kind of curious, as, they go to the quirk doctor the next day, and kind of, scan a Deku for a quirk, but noticing that Deku doesn't have a quirk, which kind of confuses Inko a bit, but, it must just be that, he has high vocals or something, because he didn't show anything off besides, I guess you have a very good voice. It's a screaming death. So it's the loudest voice in flipping How to Train Your Dragon. So yeah, they'll just think he has very good vocals. Nothing much. They'll just say he has extremely good vocals. Besides that, they'll look at his throat as his throat pretty flipping It's unique. They wouldn't be able to understand what his vocals are, but they would see that it's made for screaming, practically. And they even said that his vocals might even, it might not be a quirk, but it seems that his vocals are created to, emit a high frequency sound that can practically make others around him kind of, yeah. And, he would know, and, they would notice, was his, mouth guard on to, prevent the noise. It was, as, they kind of thought it was a quirk, but maybe they think of it as, some type of screaming quirk or something. Even though he doesn't show any symptoms of a quirk activating or, being involved in his body, they kind of just put it down as a quirk. So yeah. But little do they know. As Deku becomes older, as he starts to become not taller, but kind of starts shifting. As Deku would gain a tail, like a little tail, unnoticeable. Like, it's big where you can notice it, but not naturally. Like, you actually got to get out your way to actually, look at it. So, yeah, he's kind of, it's big enough to notice, but it's unnoticeable due to Deku's personality. And Deku would be getting, these spikes. He would be getting these goosebumps or something on his skin. Just normal spikes. Just spikes on his, spikes on his head. Like somewhere on his head, just very long spikes, all across his body. But it will be unnoticeable because they'll be very, very small. Kind of like how Spider-Man's things are, kind of hooks. That'd be kind of that small, but, Deku, these will eventually grow, but due to Deku, he wouldn't be able to. It would be the mutation, I guess. A sort of mutation, but not really, because it's kind of him transforming into a dragon. So I mean, yeah. Anyways, Deku would also get these two little flaps on his back. Unknowing what they were. As Deku starts, he starts growing, just keeps on growing. So, even more, he grows kind of more as, years go on. He grows like a foot every year. So, I guess a good 2 to 1 foot every year. So, he's pretty big. And the only reason he's not growing even faster is because, the dragon, the Screaming Death, eats a lot of fish at once. So, kind of, yeah. That's the only reason he's not growing immediately fast. So, yeah. Deku kind of... He does start to, feel more hungrier. So he does start to eat more, but, his body does... Unpronounced to himself, he doesn't really know. He kind of just thinks it's just as casual. He doesn't really care about it, but it kind of just happens as, spikes start growing out from him. Slowly but surely, Inko kind of eventually saw his tail and kind of, went back to the doctor to see if there's some type of quirk. And the doctor said it might be some type of mutation quirk or something. Something that, maybe a new type of new generation quirk that we don't know how to sense, maybe just happens. So the doctors are trying to explain that it's maybe some type of new generation quirk that can't be sensed through, the natural means of the double jointed. So yeah. So they just think it's a quirk, so a mutation quirk that's, forming after a while. He's just a late bloomer. So yeah. As, how do you say, Deku would be very, Deku would be he would be very quiet as a child. Until the age of 10. This all happened in the age of, 8 in the year. This all happened in the year. Or, good decent amount of years. So he was 7, so, 8, 9, yeah, time span of 3 years. So Deku's now 10. Well, I mean, he was technically 8 when his first mutation started to activate. Where, being his tail, spikes and whatnot coming off his body. And then, as he grows, Inko did start to notice this, but she just thought it was some type of, moisturizer or something. Just hair, growing, more hair on Deku growing. But, eventually find out that it's not hair. She did try, she did see spikes from Deku's head. As it would be weird for her, but, I mean, she kind of, bring Deku to the doctors, the entire thing happened. As now we skip to age 9, as Deku has now has, giant wings, and, the tail is, he's not getting shorter, but, his tail is growing, I would say. His tail is very much growing. His tail is very much growing. To the point where it's at least a good decent 5 to 10 feet long, his tail. And his wings are at least a decent 5 feet long. And, pretty big, so yeah. And practically, things would start to affect like Deku would act more aggressive, not due to just being an alpha, but due to being the screaming death, one of a kind, albino, practically being one of a kind. So yeah, just an alpha, albino, just he naturally being more aggressive, but nobody notices this, but he kind of he gets annoyed a lot more faster than usual. That Inko does notice, but it's not towards her, it's towards, Bakugo. And, Deku's, mouth thing, when he trying to, like, instead of, kind of, it doesn't work anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. The thing that's on Deku's mouth, like Shinzo, isn't working anymore. Like he full on he gotta walk into class he gotta be very careful on what he does, because he did he tried to talk, because let's say he was in bed, he's very hungry, he's like, mother, could you go to like some type of restaurant or something, because let's say he has some money, because some little kids do get money, so let's say he got like $40 or something, like $50-$40, so now and let's say allowance is a thing. So yeah, he has like $100. He wants to treat his mother to someplace. Mother, I'm hungry. As he noticed that he finally talked. Through that, the mask kind of due to the just overwhelming frequency of the sound and how high pitch it was. It kind of shattered the Shinzo mask practically. The mouth guard, practically shattering it completely. As the metal pieces kind of fall down to the floor, like, well then. Kind of, Deku's in a mindscape, like, well damn. So he kind of comes downstairs, goes downstairs, kind of, picks up the shattered pieces, brings them to Inko, and, Inko was like, oh dear, that's kind of bad, that's tough. But anyways, he's like, munch. So, they still go, to eat. And, let's say while they're eating, Inko left her phone. When she... No, let's say that she kept her phone, but let's say... When would Deku have a phone? Let's say Deku doesn't have a phone, but... how am I going to have this? Okay. So they're eating, and Inko notices that, plates upon plates that Deku's eating. He's eating plates upon plates upon plates upon plates. He's eating a lot of food. Inko notices this, is like, She thinks it might be just because of his quirk that, high pitch kind of dries out his throat, so he got to eat, like, a lot of food or something. And, Deku does start, gaining multiple layers of teeth around, the inside of his mouth. That Inko does notice. So there's a lot of, teeth inside his mouth, and, in his throat are, like, a lot of just rows and rows of razor sharp teeth. So, yeah. And Deku's eyes kind of, they turn into, well, what's red mixed with a green? What's a green mixed with a red? Hold on. Wait, who texted me? I want to text back, but I'm in a video. Yo, that's the most painful thing I can ever have. Oof. Anyways, what happens is that, Deku's mutations are kind of taking a very sharp turn, and Deku also starts to grow kind of like a giant horn in the middle of his forehead. So his eyes are... What color are his eyes? Red and blue make purple. So either some type of... Hold up. Red, green. Okay, they make the color brown. They start to make, Deku's eye color also starts to change green to brown. And, Deku right now, at the age of 9, is kind of, let's say, it's also his birthday, but he kind of forgot about his birthday since his father never really celebrated it. But Inko, gave him like a cupcake or like a cake every time for his birthday. So, it's his birthday, so, he's turning 10 today, and, Deku, he's in this time span of a year. Deku would dramatically start changing, like his body will dramatically start changing to get, more spikes. Like the spikes will now visibly, without even trying, visibly be viewable from, his back. So he'll have to get unique clothing to, make sure his, clothing doesn't get, torn to shreds by the spikes. So yeah. So yeah, at this time, there will be a sudden, not scream, but kind of, someone kind of busts through the door. As this will be Hisashi Midoriya mid restaurant would kind of be busting down the door. As Inko would kind of have missed calls from Hisashi. As Hisashi's going around, with a bottle in his hand, kind of, loop de loop, kind of, just going around and just creating a small amount of havoc on the way, being a disturbance. As how do you say this? Inko does, Hisashi tries to, grab Inko, so, let's go. As Inko tries to stop him from, Hisashi's pulling her hair, and, this is getting many people's attentions. But, let's say Hisashi, he has this fire quirk activated, but instead of it having fire, it's more of a pyrokinesis type of thing. So it's kind of, shooting fire everywhere. And it's kind of bad. Like, he's a full-on villain at this point, causing a massive disturbance. As Deku's getting irritated. Like, come on, can you put Mother down? He's like, how are you gonna do, little brat? As he gets, this is when something happens. Inko tries to, try to smash a plate on his head. As Hisashi would kind of smack her, knocking her out, and this would infuriate Deku. As straight up, Deku's eyes would turn red instead of brown. They will turn red, and then just a massive shriek would go out through the entire restaurant, killing at least a good decent amount of people. Because remember, this is an older Deku with a bigger vocal cord, so his voice is gonna be pretty deadly. It's way beyond present Mike's quirk, way beyond that. So Hisashi Midoriya's head kind of pops off, kind of, or more of a line of it kind of explodes. So yeah, kind of more explodes. As people in that vicinity, like at least a good 20, 30 people kind of just died right there due to Deku's quirk. As Deku's kind of screaming in his head, like kind of, no, what did I do kind of way. So yeah. Okay, I need to stop. This is too funny. Anyways, sorry about that. As you know, pro heroes are called. Sidekicks are called. Cops are called. As people just see the cops see the massacre. And, just see a raging boy. As they low-key gotta, kind of tranquilize Deku by using some type of iron uh, tranquilizer to kind of calm Deku down. As by that time, there's already about 50 people killed in that one accident. And, that's not including, the entire building. So, 50 are killed by, just Deku screaming, and the other 50, because let's say there's like at least a good 120 people out. So, 50 people are killed, and the other 50 are kind of died by debris. Because I say, kind of like a Super Saiyan kind of causes, area damage. So, yeah, rubble's falling, and, kind of killing a lot of people in that one area. So, yeah, Deku kind of accidentally killed killed 100 people with his mother on board, killing his mother as well. As Deku's he's still crying and, leaving out a giant shriek, so kind of people got, who would be there? I'll say, not all my boss, say, what good hero can silence Deku? I'll say let's say Aizawa would appear. He would try to use his quirk, but it wouldn't work. So Deku kind of, Aizawa kind of uses his scarf to shut Deku's mouth from making any other noise. So. So yeah. Deku he low-key kind of broken right now. Not gonna lie, he low-key kind of broken. Mentally. Because, he saw his mother's head also pop off. So, he killed a decent amount of people. 100 people, and, there's only 20 either injured or, just critically injured. Or, just fine, I guess. Like 10 of them are good, but the other one are either critically injured or just injured in general. So yeah. And I'll say the ones that did make it out alive, like 20 other people that were out there, kind of became somewhat partially deaf. So yeah. No one they technically didn't escape Deku. So yeah. So the cops kind of take him in, or I guess Aizawa would, covering his mouth. Deku passes out from anxiety, I guess, and he's held in like a soundproof cell, as you can say. So they're kind of just looking at Deku from the glass. So as they're trying to, they look through and seeing that, the girl or, woman that was there with green hair, or had green hair, because, there wasn't really much besides green hair, the body's kind of exploded, too. So there technically isn't any evidence, but there is still some DNA samples. So, hair and whatnot, matching up that Inko's, I guess it wouldn't be corpse, since the corpse, there'd be nothing left besides blood, due to the bones shattering, or, not shattering, but just being shattered into, like, millions of pieces into dust, practically. From how loud Deku's scream is, so yeah. And, yeah, they kind of figured out that Deku's kind of now homeless, and not just that, but he's kind of now an orphan. And not just that, but they kind of find out that he kind of got some mental issues now, so they kind of send him to, not just a therapist, but also kind of not an asylum, but they kind of put him where Ray Todoroki is. You know, where people who go, I guess people who are unstable, I guess mentally unstable. I can't remember the place, but somewhat not like that. uh, Anyways, yeah, practically, Deku goes to where Ray is. The same. Actually, why not the same exact hospital? I guess, since I can't remember the name of the place where they go, because it's similar to an asylum, but a lot less guarded. I guess. I can't remember the name, but anyways, yeah, he goes to doctors for support. Hospital for support. This will also be where the same hospital where Ray Todoroki is standing. So At this point, by the way, Dagu full on like after a couple months, he kind of full on lost his arms and legs. Kind of became this more in the line thing right here, as you see, but like a shorter version. He's like 20 feet now, 20 feet tall, decent. He's pretty tall now. He's kind of a full blown dragon at this point. As I wouldn't know, but he wouldn't know what it was that kind of caused this mutation. But all they know is that Deku wasn't able to stay in that white room because eventually his personality he kind of got sick of all the white. He wanted darkness because if you don't know, they kind of like the darkness. Screaming death. He lived in a cave with darkness. So yeah, and also that's technically their natural habitat. So yeah. Where is it? So how would I say this? He got it pretty bad. Not like Joker's, but it's still pretty bad. So, how do you say? Um, they had to get a lot more bigger cell because I mean the cell wasn't nowhere near to contain this 20 feet monster, or I guess Deku. And I guess they wouldn't really be able to move him outside the facility due to casualty reasons. Because I mean, they kind of use that's kind of their base attack, and due to humans and How to Train Your Dragons are a lot more adapted to hear the shrieks and sounds. Not to a very good extent, but at least to the point where their weakest shriek or a decent amount of shrieks from them wouldn't kill them instantly. So yeah. Yeah, so they kind of have to build his cell next to his old cell. So they also put it underground. They kind of put his cell underground. As he did increase growing, and he would eat a lot of fish at that time. They kind of made him like a little cave, I guess, under the hospital. They gave him like a mini, like kind of not a waterfall, but kind of like a water, like a river type of, like a human made river, so he can drink, and they kind of also put fish in there and whatnot. They kind of made him like his own mini ecosystem in like a cave. They give him water, they give him food, they give him the darkness he wants. So yeah. He kind of claimed it as his territory, so he's not really wanting to leave. So, he does, kind of stroll near the window, where the glass is, to kind of not say hi, but kind of show that he's there and that, he can see them through the glass, which they do not understand how. But, I mean, yeah, his eyes are full on, red at this point. His hair is non-existent because, I mean, he's a dragon now. He got scales and whatnot. And, eventually he meets Rei Todoroki. Because I'll say, during the movement, moving his cell, downwards, Rei was kind of, he is friendly, but only to those he deems friendly. So, yeah. Deku is, Deku's... How should I explain it? Deku's very, Deku's very quiet. Because even it, is fully soundproof, under the rocks, it's technically still square based. It's made out of metal, titanium, and like a kind of, soundproofed, not aluminum, alloy, kind of like a quiet, kind of like a soundproof alloy that's kind of soundproofing, the entire, with the rocks and whatnot. They kind of soundproofed anything beyond the rocks. So, yeah. So they made sure he wasn't able to get out. I said he's practically invincible. I didn't say he's flipping uncapturable. So yeah, I ain't making him that overpowered. That'd be way too dangerous. Anyways, yeah. Deku would be very aggressive, but he would, find some reasoning on, applying with humans, complying. See, he would speak, but it'd be more of kind of a translator to the, they kind of, at this point they're scientists, and I guess somewhat of the SHIELD Foundation will kind of, help out with this project, moving his cell. He meets Rei Todoroki, and, he'll think of her as a very nice lady, just, she got done dirty, practically. So, yeah. Deku and Rei Todoroki, Deku would, he would very much understand how to be quiet at this point. So, when he doesn't close, when his mouth is closed, he'd be more silent than a mouse. Meaning that he can sneak by anyone, kind of erasing his presence almost. Practically erasing his presence, with how quiet he is when his mouth is closed, when he's not, making, talking or anything. He does meet, Rei Todoroki. Rei Todoroki does visit him in the cave, I guess, and, the man-made cave, kind of. Deku would... Rei Todoroki would kind of be technically the only person Deku would allow in his cell. Because I'll say he's not able to, read emotions or anything, but he's able to, kind of feel the vibe. Not, kind of instincts. He's able to read the instincts off animals. So if you're scared or misunderstood or anything like that. So just pure instincts he's able to read. So he's only able to read your emotions. He's just kind of only able to read your instincts. Just basic emotions, I guess. So he would understand, Rei. Rei will kind of, vent to Deku. Deku wouldn't he wouldn't really be aggressive towards Rei, kind of more on the line of very protective of Rei. And let's say Endeavor, no, not Endeavor, because I don't feel like Endeavor would have a reason to visit Rei. I'll say Fuyumi or Natsuo or Todoroki would kind of visit Rei, as she wouldn't be in her normal cell. Instead, she kind of she'll visit like Deku every day, kind of. So yeah, like at least they promised her an hour with Deku a day, but that's all. They can't give her any more. So instead Todoroki family would kind of visit Rei and kind of notice that Rei's surrounded by this, or she would, there'd be darkness, as Fuyumi kind of asks why she's in this cave-like structure. As in the darkness, they're unable to see anything with night vision, but they turn night vision on, or like some type of light. So they have light, and Deku, he's kind of in the darkness, kind of sleeping with Rei at this point, kind of taking a nap. Because he understands how it feels to, be mistreated and whatnot. So, Deku's kind of sleeping. I'm not gonna lie, he is sleeping around Rei. Kind of like a cuddle, like a pet. Deku's more of a pet than kind of a human. It's towards Rei, he is at least. And own the Rei. So, Deku kind of sees Rei as like an owner, I guess, or like a master. And he's kind of like the pet, so yeah. He kind of, he's kind of around Rei, like literally sleeping around Rei, kind of like circling Rei. As the hour's almost up, as let's say one of the guards say, okay, he smashes like a little triangle thing, not smashes, but kind of rings a little triangle thing, as Rei gets up. And Deku starts to wake up. Noise. As Deku starts to wake up, as his spine starts to kind of move up in a way, like the way you see it now. So he kind of wakes up, as Fuyumi kind of sees, what is that? As she gets a little worried. What is that? Oh, that's just Izuku Midoriya. It's complicated to say. He has a very unique quirk. As he wakes up, and you get this image in front of you right now. The only difference is that kind of raised in front of his mouth almost. As he kind of lets out a little kind of like an alien xenomorph or like a predator type of kind of not a purr, but more of like a kind of like a noise of some sort. And Deku kind of it's been so long, so he kind of took Rei as his new mother, almost, practically. Kind of a new mother, so yeah. And Rei tells Deku, don't worry, I'll be back tomorrow. As Fuyumi, the Todoroki family is like, what the flip are you doing? Are you crazy? And, just yelling, or not, just kind of talking, arguing with, Rei, kind of arguing with Rei. And Rei, Todoroki's kind of like, hush, it's okay. He won't hurt me. He's very friendly when you get to know him. As Fuyumi's like, friendly? Look at that monster. As Rei kind of not slaps her, but kind of like yells, like, he's not a monster. He's just misunderstood. He wasn't born like this. It was his quirk that activated. Poor boy. As they would give, they kind of ask Deku questions, doctors and whatnot, he kind of nods yes or no, because they kind of answer questions like, are we able to give some information to Ray Todoroki about your past? And, he kind of either, nod or just, practically just nod. This poor boy has gone through a lot. Wait, that's a boy? Natsuo will kind of speak up. That's a boy? How old is this kid? This dude's huge. Oh, he's only, I believe he's only 14. He's not that much older than you are. He's how old? As you know, they're kind of pending on that. As you know, Todoroki kind of, after his, as you know, Ray Todoroki kind of explains his backstory. Yeah, kind of after his father came into a restaurant trying to take his mother back, Deku's quirk kind of malfunctioned in a way, kind of killing a lot of people, but by accident, because it was a quirk malfunction. He was unable to control it until, heroes came in. They would be very terrified, but saying that it was a quirk malfunction, they would kind of understand, because I believe quirk malfunctions they stop to the age of 10. That's when they kind of stop, or they kind of stop at the age of 11, because I believe that's canonly possible. I believe 1 through 10, that's when, quirk malfunctions either tend to stop or kind of, slow down on happening. So, yeah. And why not? Let's say this is some type of mutation, not a quirk, but something similar to a quirk. So it's like a quirk, but similar to it. Not a quirk, but similar. As you know, they're kind of, due to, the amount of deaths Deku has in his name, they kind of call, this form of Deku's the Screaming Death. As you know, Nezu and whatnot, kind of, he would get information about, another quirked, I guess a quirked person, or, technically a quirked animal in this case. Nezu would kind of be interested. And also, the Screaming Death is very smart. At least in, what the information I got is very smart. At least able to think like humans, to some extent. So, yeah. As you know, Nezu would be there. This is a weak time skip. As you know, Nezu would be there. As you know, Deku would wake up and kind of, open one of his eyes. Who goes, because he'll feel like anything in a 100-meter radius, or 100-foot radius, Deku would kind of, that'd be too much. Anything in a 30, 50-meter radius, Deku will kind of know what's happening, like what animals are in the facility. So he kind of wakes up sensing Nezu. As no, Nezu's on the glass. Whoa, I didn't think I would believe you, but here he goes. As the doctors explained to him, this is a 14-year-old boy. Today is actually his birthday. We plan on giving him his favorite, fish. So yeah. So, what, they give him the rundown on Deku. Poor boy. I wonder, though. As may I enter his facility? As you know, they open up the monitors, or, the mic, as Screaming Death, or, Izuku, would you like Nezu to, because I'll say he wouldn't be able to see anyone, but he'll be able to sense them. Kind of like a heat vision almost, like a thermal vision. So he technically can see them, but not. Kind of more of the line of sense them. So, Deku nods his head. As the door opens to Deku's cell. As he gets up. Kind of looks in the direction of Nezu as he smells. To him, he smells food. As you know, they gotta tell him, do not attack. This is not food. Because right now, Deku's at least a good 40 feet now. 40 feet. In just size. 40 feet in size. So yes. Or I guess not 40 feet, because, I'll say he's in, he kind of, for now, he's 40 feet, because, the maximum height of I believe, he's 100 or 300, 200 meters, and then, kind of 50 feet, so yeah. And I don't really use meters, because meters are kind of, in my, kind of useless, but I kind of use more than let's use feet for, high and whatnot. Anyways, enough of that. Nezu, a little mouse will come up, as you know. Nezu wouldn't be able to see anything, only, the light from, there'll be, not cameras, but, lights, where the glass is, so he kind of somewhat sees it, but it's more like a dim shadow. As you know, Deku sees a little rat going around. As you know, he starts to open his mouth, as you know, they kind of not shoot him, but kind of tase him. As you know, that gets his attention. He's like, no, not food. Friend, not food. So kind of, yeah. Deku sees this, and he sees a little rat. He looks at the rat, like, he gets very close up. As you know, Nezu's terrified, as you know, his instincts are telling him to run. Run, bro, run. Your ass don't want this fade. Practically. But hello, I'm Nezu. Would you like to join UA? As you know, a humming noise, or like a high-pitched humming noise will come from Deku. And he'll tilt his head and, question mark, kind of like tilt his head. UA is a school for quirk people to become heroes. I know Deku would understand. As Deku would agree, kind of nod, Nezu would kind of call, I guess people in UA to kind of build Deku his own dorm. Because I'll say Deku at this point is able to control, his, voice at this point, so he is able to control his voice at this point, where, he wouldn't instantly kill a person from going all out. So he puts his voice in portions. He kind of eats, he eats a certain amount of food to kind of block a certain amount of, things, and, he just gotta, move his body a certain way to, unblock him, so, to use his full power. So, he agrees. As in a screeching voice, it hurts, it does hurt Nezu, but it's not, instant death for Nezu. As you know, it's kind of like a knob where slowly but surely increases the volume. But he's only going, he's on low volume right now, so yeah. As this is where I'm going to have to end the video. As Deku is on his way to UA. What will people think about him? What will people look at him as? Would they see him as a monster? Would they see him as a person? Find out next time on What If Deku Was the Screaming Death. Remember, subscribe, leave a comment down in the video, and leave a like. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.